join with us in a few minutes. Then we have Engineer Prasanna Liyanage, hold a BSc Engineering degree from the University of Moratuwa, major in electrical engineering, and has gained a diploma from British Computer Society. Further, he has completed his master's in business administration, MBA in Cardiff Metropolitan University with a merit. More importantly, he started his career as a sales engineer at David Pierce Information Technology in 2003, then moved into the Millennium IT. So thereafter, he has joined Debug Private Limited as a consultant and was looking after channel development operation in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Maldives. So he count over 12 years experience in IT. And in addition to that, Mr. Liyanage is a visiting lecturer in few universities, including University of Colombo, University of Moratuwa, University of Kelaniya, then some international universities. And also, he's a senior vice president of Colombo Chamber of Commerce. Then the executive committee member of Society for International Development, SID, Sri Lankan chapter. So why we invited Prasanna Liyanage? Mr. Prasanna Liyanage, having acquired industrial experience, so he has turned into an entrepreneur and regarded as a successful entrepreneur who has ventured his own business as a young professional. He served as a managing director of Reflections Holding Private Limited, and at the moment, Prasanna Liyanage is serving as COO in Nexus Private Limited, and he is a founder of Training Hub Asia. So, welcome to the session, Mr. Prasanna Liyanage.
Thank you.
Then we have, like, whatever the sessions we are going to have in the Open University, we are very concerned about the gender balance. Welcome to Engineer Jasmine Naneyakkara. So, Engineer Jasmine Naneyakkara is an MBA graduate of University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka. Her first degree in BTech in Computer Engineering at the Open University of Sri Lanka. She has lifelong learning skills to adopt new knowledge areas and competed in different industries during last 15 years. Engineer Jasmine Naneyakkara is a social entrepreneur and more importantly, as a founder of Real Life and senior business consultant at Step by Step Consultancy Services. So as we know, Real Life is a social enterprise of a professional network of mentors, counselors, ambassadors, and volunteers that support socio-cultural and environmental initiatives. And also she is a creator of Oh Girl brand with zero carbon footprint, eco-friendly origami design, handmade paper, art made of recycled waste paper, banana fiber and all. So like this is one of the very interesting venture she's involved with. So these products are made by outpatients of cancer who has entitled for this sustainable social subsidiary system through creative entrepreneurship program. So she bears the immediate past chairmanship of the entrepreneurship forum at the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, ISL. And also she's a co-creator of Engineering Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, empowering fellow engineers by providing incubator program and support service with consulting, mentoring, and networking. So her research interests are emotional intelligence, business intelligence, and sustainability. Engineer Jasmine specializes in strategic management and interest in areas of developing strategies in creativity and innovation for technology towards sustainable development. So welcome to the panel, Professor Engineer Jasmine Naneyakkara.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we will start the session. Now we are talking about the creative economy, and we discuss about the one of the important thing on the entrepreneurship. Now, currently in Sri Lanka, we already declared as a bankrupt country, expecting this 2.9 IMF loan with the staff agreement and all we are talking about. So this country is all about like with the dependence mentality. So for Sri Lanka cricket also, now we are looking for, we are even to come to the semi-final with the dependence mentality. Either the India will defeat Ireland or Ireland will defeat Pakistan. So that is the mentality. But entrepreneurship, we always believe, not the employees, Sri Lankan University should always create entrepreneurs. So this is the classic example. Now these two resource persons So 11/11/2022, now time is 3:10. So these two graduates from National University, from the Moroto University and the Open University, they are entrepreneurs. So this is one classic example. So first I will start with Engineer Prasanna Liyanage. What is your idea of entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka, Mr. Prasanna?
Okay, thank you very much for that elaborated introduction, and also and inviting both of us to and Dr. Buddhadasa to the forum. So entrepreneurship actually in Sri Lanka, in my idea, the first of all, I'll come to what you have mentioned earlier. Sri Lanka is now declared as a bankrupted nation. So actually, I don't agree with that, because maybe financially we are going through a difficult time, but I totally do not agree with that declaration of bankruptcy. Because of that, lot of issues we are facing because of that statement of like bankrupt nation, right? So I'll come to the some of the repercussions of that later on while having the discussions. Like we all face a lot of issues with that. So apart from that, actually in entrepreneurship, actually I think in Sri Lankan context, most of the people have taken the idea of the entrepreneurship in a wrong way. We think like, okay, doing a business is entrepreneurship, or making a profit is just entrepreneurship. No. So you can make profit. You can buy something and sell. So you can import something and keep a margin and sell. So you can make money. So you become a businessman. So the difference between the businessman and entrepreneurship is totally different. So therefore, we should give that concept from the school time to from the school children to the adult to everyone. Okay, entrepreneurship is totally different. If you take Jasmine Engineers venture, so it's not actually focused on purely on the profit. So it's a social enterprise, right? So she might be making some money, but mostly concerned about everyone is like around that business and growing. So entrepreneurship is like basically the idea where co-create the money and also contributing to the economy development of the country, and building a system where we can sustain that for a longer time. So usually we take it as the business is not a going concern. Like, you know, when it comes to even the accounting, we call it going concern. So we consider always like it's not ending. It's a continuous process where it grows and contribute to the economy, contribute to the people's life, and our ultimately the having a good sustainable life for everyone. So that should be the actual cause of entrepreneurship. But unfortunately, what I see in Sri Lanka, we have taken that the concept in a wrong way. So it should be corrected first.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting start, because whatever the time we are going to have a meeting and all, so you come up with a kind of a different version altogether. So that may be because of the way we are going to read something, because even Albert Einstein also mentioned the imagination is more important than knowledge. So
Yes.
that particular start, I think that is the way Mr. Prasanna Liyanage, Engineer Prasanna Liyanage, define entrepreneurship. I think currently he's reading his DB also in Kalani University.
Yes.
Then we like to talk with Engineer Jasmine Nanayakkara. So what is your idea, Jasmine? How you define entrepreneurship in Sri Lankan context?
Similar to the Prasanna's comments and his explanations, I do agree with Prasanna, because as we both came together with the entrepreneurship boot camp and we were there. Before that time at the boot camp, it's a place where we learn about entrepreneurship. So we were practicing professionalism as an engineers, and also we had some kind of organizations already established, but we had that eager to learn more. So the first thing is to learn entrepreneurship. That what we are like in our country is that point, learning. So we should learn first what is entrepreneurship, and that's why we do not understand what is the real entrepreneurial activities we should start with. And so most of the things in Sri Lanka, as you said, the creativity is very important. This country is going through this difficult situation with financial aspects, not only in the financial aspects, and many aspects in this country is now going in the down the line. So what we can do as an professionals and mentors is to encourage our youth and the next generations to learn entrepreneurship. And that is the only way that we can overcome these difficulties and the crisis what we have at this moment, making these entrepreneurial activities to turn into a creative economy. As you said, creativity is totally become through the imagination. So I think even the youth and every stage of life, most of the Sri Lankans are wasting most of the time imagining wrong things. If we imagine the right things and what we can adopt to make a change in the country, it can be a problem, it can be a social problem, it can be an environment problem, it can be a problem for the corporate sector. And then you can find some more creative solutions. That is the way that you can initiate entrepreneurship. It is not just you just prepare some product or a service and give it to the client. It's a business, but entrepreneurial skills should be sharpened from the very beginning as an youth and about to get to that thing. First you learn, and then you practice, and then you develop yourself, and only then you become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you very much, because that is one of the very important things. First you have to learn, then you have to practice. So we need to understand our responsibility also. I have seen all the time people are just blaming to these 225 people in the parliament. But anyway, we need to understand the responsibility of the citizens of the country. So we are the one actually like voting for them. But before voting, we need to be very proactive. So people always think like entrepreneurs, if you are an entrepreneur, then again the business and all the operations come into effect. But what we need to understand, the entrepreneurial mindset is really important. Even in the organization you are working, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, so that also can be considered as one of the very important thing, because people start to think entrepreneurs only should have this sort of entrepreneurial mindset. So if you are working in the office, then again you have to have creativity. You should have imagination and analytical thing, how to think something in a different way. So that is really important. In that particular scenario, we are talking about one of the very famous topic in creative economy. So I think we have written on creative economy 11 years back, and I think 2 years back, I have done a presentation for Central Bank on this creative economy. Yes. Then again, proudly, they said like they are going to have one unit, but unfortunately, nothing been done in the context of Sri Lanka, because creative economy we defined, starting with reggae in Jamaica to opera in Sydney. That is the spectrum. The film industry, music industry. Then again, we are talking about these publications, gaming, all the things comes into the effect, and there are many people start to discuss about this, one of the very important thing of creative economy. So, Mr. Prasanna Liyanage, what is your idea? What about the help or role of a creative economy on entrepreneurship?
Professor, actually, I have a kind of a right to talk about creative economy, because like one of my ventures is also into the filmmaking and content creation and so on. So we see a lot of, in that context, I see a lot of issues in Sri Lanka. Well, number one is like, what I see is like lack of this ideation and thinking out of the box. So that is the number one I see. A lot of people are, I don't know why we are always in a box, right? So we love to be in that box, because whenever we become comfortable, so we wanted to be in that box. So maybe I don't know what is the influence of that. That is one thing. So Other thing is like, even though sometimes we come up with ideas, we always have the fear of somebody will steal that. Protection for knowledge very low. That is one other problem I see. Like, we also sometimes, like, even for example, to also whoever, because there are so many issues, like they are stealing, and when the script also one thing. So other things like what type of exposure we.
So I think there's a small disturbance from the Prasanna's end. What we can do, like till the Prasanna is like coming into act, Jasmine can have a kind of a discussion on this creative economy.
Yes, I think the reason that we met even Professor Nalin, the very time is I was looking for the person who wrote that article in the newspaper. So through that channel, I was following you on that day, particular day until today. And because that I was really interested in that topic, creative economy. It's actually the ability that we can make human creativity into the day-to-day life and make some kind of revenue out of it. So when we see that there are the large world manufacturer is the China, and they also make a lot of products to the entire world, right? But how they can stay on that business, and even the other countries, how they can actually take the kind of a market share from that kind of product development. That is that they can apply the creativity on their product development, and that is why the people will select that. Especially if you talk about a product or a service, if there is something more than the particular product, if it is even a reasonable price, if it is a high cost, that you can differentiate with your creativity. So that is the power of creativity, as it's a gift from the every human being that you can have that ability. So everyone can do it, but only thing is you practice. You have the critical thinking and you imagine everything, and how you develop your intelligence to that level, how you can see the problem in different ways, as many options that you can come across. So on that point, we will develop that creativity skill into the next level, is creative intelligence, which is very powerful skill that you need to change the world in the next few decades, right? Coming in the future. So as a next generation, you should focus on creative intelligence. I am certified as a creative intelligence certified coach in World and Texas. So we have gone through that process and learned a lot of different ways that how we can apply the creativity to many of these industries and make most of them as creative industries. And that is the only way that we can create that revenue into a creative economy. So it's like start with the experimental way, that we experiment and how we can find some more creative way to fill in the gaps in the problems in the society, in the environment, or in the corporate sector, or in the country's development. And also you can see that your development as a human being, to ability to find solutions to the problems in life as well. So that creative intelligence is one of the best skill that if you can learn first and then practice, and then you can actually demand yourself as a professional, right? As an entrepreneur, and also as an academic. So that is really important. And even in Sri Lanka, it is not much highlighted, even in the primary or secondary educations, even in the higher education in this country. So that is an important part, even if the Open University can start that kind of a course for creative intelligence, I think it's a real need for the country for the next few decades.
Yeah, you mentioned about this creative intelligence. If you can elaborate that more, Jasmine?
Yes. So it's kind of a concept and the process that you can apply the creativity in different levels, right? It can be a process, it can be a model, it can be a product, it can be a kind of a service. So how you apply this creativity, if there's a small kind of gaps in that existing model, how you can apply creativity into that and fill out those gaps and find the solutions, right? Likewise, there are many models to follow with creative intelligence. For example, I must say, if let's say for a special menu for a restaurant, if you are going to try out, but if you have lack of raw materials, lack of things, that how you are going to prepare that and support it. So if you can apply that creativity into that, so you can find more other alternatives, kind of many creative ways to reduce the amount of raw materials that you are going to put into that, and then you can find a solution to overcome that challenge. Likewise, that there are many ways that you can apply your creativity, and then it becomes like more prominent in the areas of applying this creativity in many industries. It can be anything. If you come to, it can be in education sector, corporate sector, business sector, anything, any industry, even in the film industry, entertainment industry, all these things that we can apply these skills as well as models to overcome most of the challenges. Even in Sri Lanka, right now, we have a great challenge with the infrastructure, raw materials, supply chain, energy and the electricity. All these things are here as the problems. But if you can find your creativity into that and develop something to overcome those challenges, and there you can find some sort of ways that you can come out of these critical situations. Like that is the simple examples that I have said. And there is a lot of things that you have to learn from how you can apply this creative intelligence to day-to-day even life challenges, business challenges, even in the education and medical sector, any other sector, this world.
Yeah, now, so you're going to add.
Really, yeah. Really sorry, I reconnected.
No problem, Prasanna. Now the Jasmine already added a new word for our creative economy vocabulary called creative intelligence. So you can continue with your discussion, Prasanna, now. No problem.
Yeah. Okay, then I was thinking, like I was telling about that lack of ideation, then the protection for intellectual properties, and also the exposure to the world is also very low. Even though we have certain avenues of exposure, my issue is why we are not using it, right? One thing is like, okay, starting from YouTube to starting from other tools, other platforms, are so many collaborative platforms are there, like all these things are there, but still how much we are getting from them, how much we are using it is also a question. So look at that in a very broader way, in an open-minded. So that is one thing in creative economy. So other what I see in most of the places, like when it comes to creative economy, I see two sides. One is kind of a traditional side. Again, I see a new wave of creative economy is also coming up, like in like after 2000, like the new generation, sometimes some doing some unimaginable and new things, like even like, for example, if you get a 16 years 14 year, even 13 year 14-year kid, like now they have YouTube channel, they are creating certain content, sometimes like even we can't believe, okay, oh wow, like they have such a talented thinking pattern. Why we didn't have that kind of a thinking when we are young, right? maybe the exposure. Sometimes they are getting exposure into internet and so thing we didn't have, right? So that is one thing I see. I see a bright future in creative economy in Sri Lanka in digital ways. But I see again, looking at the bright way, again we see with the traditional creative economies, we are still at the same place. For example, take the traditional mask of Hambantota, from down south, right? Ambalantota. Those are amazing creations, amazing creativity, right? Look what had happened now. So if you get a mask now, the quality is dropped. Original creativity is not lost, and there's no new addition after that. I don't know why, but if you look at our Sokari and all these things, always I have seen this later on lot of additions. No, this police column is added, right? Likewise, that was evolved for a while, and at a certain point, I see it has stopped. So have you seen in a Nadagam some new character introduced recently for that? No. Why it has stopped at the Suddha's time or wherever it has stopped? So we haven't thought of adding maybe some digital Kollahari, some kind of a character should have come there, right? Someone with the phone, but it hasn't evolved. And I think it's now time to like even think of the traditional things, like without disturbing the roots we can do lot of things and applying that elements. If you get the elements of our history, right, and elements of these the paintings, and it's amazing, right? Why can't you get these elements and apply into our new appliances? Maybe even like applying that kind of a design into an electric item would give a additional value, right? Recently I'm with some delegation from Dubai, like they came for some business like launching for one of our principals came in Sri Lanka. So then I took them to this Nugagama and all this. They were like wowed with the food and everything. Like then, and he wanted to buy tea. Then I said, what type of tea you want? What is the quality you are looking for? He said, hey, tea has to be okay, but rather than tea, what I want is like nice packaging. Right? I want like if you have like some elephants or whatsoever, the why I'm buying tea, it should be even like say 50 grams or 20 grams. I don't mind. I want something memorable to take from here to my country and the present to my whatever the relatives and friends and all things. So see how much of creativity we can add into tea industry, how much of creativity we can add into cinema industry. Now I am seeing people are doing, for example, I think you don't mind I'm getting a brand name here like Spa Ceylon. It's a very successful business, right? So they are adding but if you take like actually the products they are making using the new technology and all these things, chemicals, and plus same time they're using Sri Lankan essence and all these things as well. But look at the outlook. Whenever we see the outlook of Spa Ceylon, okay, name is Spa Ceylon, right? And then the elements they are using all the traditional Liyavala, Palapetta, and all these things. Even how their models are wearing is actually replicating the Sigiriya ladies, right? So that's how like see that one entrepreneur, Shalin Balasuri and his brother, has taken just simple product range, you adding the creativity to the world, like wherever now you go, like the same like Dilmah, go to many, I have seen in many airports abroad, whenever you land, you can see Dilmah as well as the Spa Ceylon. I feel very proud whenever I see the Spa Ceylon. Oh, wow. Yeah, representing there, no? So that's a pride. So why other people can't see? I have seen such young entrepreneurs are trying with the jackfruit, and also some are trying with cinnamon, some are trying with vanilla, and a lot of people are doing that, but not has gone up to level of like Dilma and Sparsilon and all these things. I think there's a potential, but let's see how it goes. But what I'm telling is like even for this traditional product, or even sometimes we can apply into the product, even we don't think of adding creativity because it adds value. So if you can sell it earlier, the same product without this packaging, if you can sell it for $10, after adding that value, you can sell that for like maybe sometimes $100, 10 times value addition. Right? Recently, I bought a perfume from this Sparsilon. You know the names. I was very attracted. That range, same have someone Miris. One is Pasikuda. Like they have given the name of our tourist attraction to that perfume range. So that is also again creativity. No? So thinking something out of the box and taking out from this country and getting earning dollars for the country. So that is absolutely amazing to see that kind of entrepreneurs are doing so many things like that. So I mean, opportunities are endless. So it's our turn how we are going to use it and how we are going to look at things, like always like get something and look at that in a different way, right? If you see a vehicle, if you can see at the vehicle in different, I see sometimes with my kid, uh, sometimes whenever he see some shape, he's saying, Tati, this is like that comparison. So I was thinking, okay, yes, that's true. What he's seen is true because I don't see it because I'm in a box. Because it was given, okay, the vehicle is, the shape is this, right? And elephant is looks like this. Likewise, we have put into a box. So I think now it's time to go get out of the box. Like if we can't get out of the box, at least our next generation, train them, let them to come out of the box rather than putting into these frames of becoming engineer, doctor, whatever. Right? Okay, you become anyone. Think creatively. Right? Create your own wealth. So that's the way forward for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, yes, I think what you mentioned, Prasanna, because especially in culture, you align that with this Hambantota and all this Ambalantota. One example, yeah, even by looking at that particular context, one of the professor in economics at Rhodes University in South Africa, the Janet Snowball, she mentioned something very aligned what to actually talking about. So because she actually discussed something called the cultural trade is the nexus between creativity and the globalization. A more equal distribution of creativity can provide a way for emerging market or developing countries to benefit from both creativity and culture and globalization. So that is really relevant and that is really important because the cultural economy now in the world they are talking about is a source of innovation in products and processes. So we are talking about the creative economy, and again we discuss about how this creative economy comes with this John Hawkins. He's the author of this creative economy. He discussed about one of the very important thing called how people make money from ideas. So yeah, like he discussed about like different sectors in creative economy, like advertising, architecture, arts, crafts, design, fashion, film industry, music industry, performing art, toys and games. So what we are talking about, like TV, radio, video games and all. Prasanna,
Also digital platforms are now is a creative, right?
Exactly.
If you take Facebook, Facebook is supplying a platform to make the people to make creations, right? So we are the people who are making creations and knowledge jokes or whatever, knowledge or whatever, and put on the platform. What they have done is like, okay, the platform for ideation, right? So,
yeah, so you mentioned in Sri Lanka the lack of ideation, especially like in the university system, the full of semesters. So they don't have any time for maybe aesthetic activities. So these are the problems. even one of the good example, I always quote this Ranminithan versus Nollywood. Now people, most of the time, they know this Ranminithan. Then again, even the people who are in the film industry asking from me, what is this Nollywood? So as you know, Nollywood is a film industry in
Film industry.
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
So we always talking about Bollywood and Hollywood ne. අපි අර Bollywood Hollywood ගැන කතා කරන්නේ Nollywood ගැන කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. The Nollywood ගැන අපි කතා කරොත් like Nigerian film industry is globally recognized as the second largest film producer in the world. So they produce films by looking at the taste, needs and wants of that particular subcontinent, South African.
Yes.
So to produce one teledrama, it's like $1,500, the specialization and economics of scale. By looking at the statistics and all, Prasanna, this industry is significant part of arts, entertainment and recreational sector, contributed to 2.3%. In Nigerian rupees, it's around 239 billion to Nigerian gross domestic product. So what I just want to relate that into Ranminithan, we have a very nice place called Ranminithan. So 10 years back, we start to write this article. That time there was even no, we don't have a website for Ranminithan. But you know, like the best practices. So maybe our people, they can go to Nollywood and study, and like we can have a kind of a like different like way of implementing certain things for Ranminithan. Ranminithan, after Giyam, you can see the nice film village, but no films. So we have nice destinations. Prasanna, every time we are talking about Sigiriya, we have nice destination, no website.
Yes, we were talking about that.
We are always talking about that. These are the problems. I think we come to one of the very important thing. So from this creative economy and all, we always, like both of you are now comes under this discussion under creative economy. Now I come to a different point altogether. So shall we start with Jasmine, Prasanna? Because here I am talking about the role of female entrepreneurship. So Jasmine,
And
so you can start with that. What is the role of female in entrepreneurship?
Well, for even in this world populations and even in our country's populations, most of women are high in ratio. Like even Sri Lanka, if there's 22 million of people, the population, about more than 52% is representing female population. So how they can turn that as a workforce to the country's economy? But already they are here. They are, because they are working as working in other countries as foreign employments, and they are sending the revenue to the country. So most of them work as a housemaid, and you know their contribution is already there. But beyond that level, if how a woman in Sri Lanka can turn their skills and their quality time to become an entrepreneur and to learn that skill. So what I have seen in Sri Lanka is I have seen most of the community, the women are struggling with the family commitments, and they don't have much time for learn new things, practice new things, and imagine and think of these kind of entrepreneurial activities. Most of them try, even they have the higher studies, they have degrees, maybe more than one degree, but they do not do any work. They stay at home and take care of kids. So, but now you see that the new normal situation in the world with the COVID, people have that identifications that people can even find more time. Work from home, right? And they find more quality time and learn from home, right? So there are many creative content, as Prasanna highlighted, even in the Facebook, even in social media. There are a lot of YouTube you can watch those creative content and some learning contents to upgrade your knowledge, right? So there's no excuse for women in this with the technology at by now, saying that you have no time, you don't have knowledge, and you don't have anything. So uh, what I think, it is your commitment, your intention, your ability to find that role as a female. And so as a traditional way, people would think that it is to role as a female to take care of the family, feed for the kids and the husband, and likewise, and that time is over and over. It's like repetition. But now the generation has changed. Most people work, but even if it is work, you can spend more time on the traveling, right? Rather doing that. So if the Sri Lankan youth, even the upcoming next generation, are more technologically adapted, so they can find many creative ways to be turn their skills, turn their knowledge into many other aspects, and trying to learn entrepreneurship. So that even we have seen many women doing craft, like, and other things, but their financial literacies may be very low. They don't know how to develop that to the next level, how they can scale up that business. It's just like a small business, not like it's like a solopreneur, but making it into the next level, how to develop it, and those skills they don't have. So what I suppose, in even one country, we need proper guidance and coaching to women to become women entrepreneurs. And still there's a high potential because they have right management skills and as a woman, and if they can really give up a little bit of support to women participation in Sri Lanka, I think we can actually overcome a lot of challenges and crises in this country, and making extra revenue and increase the creative economy, because creativity and imaginations is a uh, very high in capacity for women, and they are thinking, and they are more creative. They like more colors. They like more kind of artistic things, and they can actually turn those skills and learn this entrepreneurial uh, things to make their own ventures. So as the women, even I support them. And for example, we have a brand called O Girl. It's especially for women. That's why it's O Girl. Very impressive. So that we empower the less opportunity people. We have about 12 girls working and making handmade paper with us. And there are other community who is less attention in this country as outpatients of cancer at the Apeksha Hospital. And they are the co-creators making value additions through our eco-friendly paper, recycled paper. So likewise, we give them the proper coaching, guidance, and making them as creative entrepreneurs. So they make some creative stuff and sell through our corporate clients, strategic partners, and now they are turning their life into the next level as an entrepreneur. So that is kind of a guidance and the coaching we should provide for Sri Lankan women, and then only we can see a brighter future. I suggest that if we can make into the very beginning as a girl child, less than 14 years, if we can train them to become female entrepreneurs from the less than at the girl child level, so I think we can plan for the next 2 decades to have a brighter future for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, this is an operational definition from a women entrepreneur about the role of entrepreneur.
About the role.
Yeah, we continue to research, and we discuss about this
Yes.
operational definition and all and all. So now I'm asking the same interesting question from our own Prasanna, because Prasanna's wife also an entrepreneur.
Yes, I was about to tell, like, I'm experiencing the same thing at home as well. Because I see there are two ways, Jasmine. I not 100%, I 200% agree with Jasmine on this context about Sri Lankan entrepreneurs. Our country is actually mother-centric society. It's not a father setting, definitely. The best finance manager we are seeing is our mothers, right? Where we always tell like there's no money, no nothing, and all these things. But when there's any emergency, like somehow the money appears from somewhere. So that saving is there. So therefore, I believe most efficient workforce in my company as well as in corporates are women, not men. I 100% agree with that. And one thing I see good thing, the brighter side at the moment is in corporate vertical. A lot of women are getting the right exposure, but still I'm not telling 100%. Still there are some barriers for the women entrepreneurs to come to the top level, top notch. There are, like if you take Kasturi and all, like not like women, and those are corporate entrepreneurs, like then Otara, Podel, and likewise there are top notch. But in the mid layer and mid upper layer, there are many women are leading organizations in finance, operations, like creativity, and all these things. Like they're really well, and now they are coming to the spotlight, and I see some visibility on corporate entrepreneurs. But other area is where the exposure is very low. The women who are actually in women who are actually the home-based women entrepreneurs. So that is actually one area I think we have to look in seriously, where the society also should get awareness.
Yeah, that is really interesting what to mention, Prasanna, now. By looking at the female labor force, even by considering the statistics in the world, statistics in Sri Lanka, the female participation for active labor force is around 35%. But by looking at the developed countries, it's around 60%. This is like Sri Lankan scenario is actually same like other, like South Asian countries. Like in India and Bangladesh, it is around 20 to 25%. One of the professor in Bangladesh, he mentioned, if Bangladesh can increase the women participation for active labor force by 10%, they can increase the gross domestic product, GDP, by 1%. That is the equation. Because even the Grameen concepts and all, they targeted for female.
Yes.
ණය ගෙවන්න තියෙන එකේ පොඩි බොන්ඩ් එක තියෙන්නේ
Bond
female
එකක්
කියලා
තියෙනවා. Yeah. They always like
පොඩි
wanted to doesn't like to take loans and be debt, right? Not like men. Men always like to take big risk and so. Yeah.
So that is there. That is one very important thing we need to understand, the role of female entrepreneurs. So what Jasmine mentioned also, I think I should highlight the especially below 14 years. So even for male also, that is very much applicable. So it should comes from your childhood, the education, K-12 education in Sri Lanka. Every time we are talking about the boy or girl, so 25 kilos of the bag is carried by the small kid of 20 kilos of the weightage. That is the education system in Sri Lanka we have. But so these are the ideas where we need to inculcate. Then I come to the next question, the role of youth in entrepreneurship. Now we can see this Aragalaya and all, like on the empowerment towards the youth in Sri Lanka. So what sort of a role the youth should play in the entrepreneurship? So we'll, shall I again start with Jasmine? Yes.
I think it's, yeah, I really love to take that question because I'm really initiating many things for teenagers and youth, because I have seen it is very easy if we can seed those values to the children first, and then they grow up and those values, and they become it's like skillful laborers, skillful workers, skillful talented workers, even though they can turn into a entrepreneurship. So those are the things that we should focus from the beginning. And that's why we started from the real life. It's a life coaching network. We started the creativity and innovation program. So make them more creative, think out of the box, and also find some sustainable solutions for the existing problems. using the innovative solutions likewise. So I must say that in this country, most of the mindset of the children is fed by their parents. So if the children wants to be more independent, children wants to be more kind of freedom, but parents are giving that very different kind of advices, different kind of coaching to kids to find a government job. Even my mother, she wanted me to find a government job to have a safe life. But you should guide your children first and the teenager youth to be more independent, find new ways. Rather you work under the corporate sector or any other private sector organization, how you can increase your learning curve and values and become a self-sufficient person, and then even at working in the very beginning to get some experience and exposure in the company, that is okay. But beyond that, if you wanted to stay on the same position, same organization, is not the right thing. So likewise, even in the fresh graduates, after A-levels, they are looking for kind of white collar jobs. They don't like skillful jobs. They don't like to have that kind of skillful knowledge and the practice. So when we hire, we wanted to hire some more recruit and hire more youth for our entrepreneurial activities. They are very risk averse. They do not want to take that risk and do something new, research, innovative solutions. They don't like, because they want that kind of a traditional way and going. But there are some very positive way that some youth, some children, they like new things, and that is a great insight that we have. So if we can empower the youth, empower the children to do new things, to think very creative way and innovative way to find different things in life as a career, and that is the empowerment to give as a mentors, teachers, parents even. So if that can, we can support that way with the mindset, to change their mindset, and they will take that risk to become an entrepreneur. There is a risk anyway in any even you are working in the government sector, because even in the working in the private sector, there's a risk, right? But taking the entrepreneurship is a more risk. It's a very hard journey. But sometimes when I see the youth unrest and how they are taking that government job, that is more difficult than they are turning themselves to become an entrepreneur. So that much of time and money committed for becoming a government servant. But if that effort can be turned into become an entrepreneur, I think our future will be more sustainable for this country, because we should keep a hope and give empowerment for the youth, women, and children to take this country forward for the next decades. So that is my idea, and I support many of our programs through our many of our programs and projects for the youth to become researchers, innovators, and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comment. So that is really important. That is really valid by looking at the different context. So different context, and because here we are talking about the role of youth in entrepreneurship. And Prasanna and Jasmine, now we are fortunate to have Dr. Sarath Buddhidas also on board.
Yes, I see.
Like as I clearly defined, first I introduced Dr. Sarath Buddhidas, one of my guru and one of the respected, like professional in the entrepreneurship. So you also can contribute with your insight and all about the Sri Lanka, maybe Sri Lankan context, how you read the entrepreneurship and your particular perspective.
Professor, thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure for me to join this discussion. Well, it's a very interesting question that you're asking from me. The country situation today, economically, we are not really in a very good footing, I would say. So if you take entrepreneurship, we always talk about at international fora also, there's a correlation between entrepreneurship and economic development, which means if there are entrepreneurs in a given country, more entrepreneurs means more economic development, more wealth creation, and the economic goals of a country. But if you read the things that happens in today's context, our economy is down. That means it gives us a signal to presume that the Sri Lankan entrepreneurship has not played its role, in its fullest, to see that the economy is growing and we have been able to achieve economic targets so that the populace is happy. So in that sense, I see there's a big question mark in front of the quality of entrepreneurship in this country. So that's one thing that one reading of mine when it comes to the Sri Lanka's economy, how it is performing today, and how it is related to the entrepreneurship, quality of entrepreneurship. And also, I would say if the entrepreneurship is flourishing in a given country, the indicators should be that the poverty in that particular country is reduced. But Sri Lanka is now poor. It has come to about 35 to 40% today. And also regional disparities are not there or marginal. But if you take, say, Colombo or Western Province, its contribution to GDP is about 45%. So rest of the 9 provinces are contributing about 55%. There's a regional disparity. And also, if you take unemployment, we have not addressed the unemployment issue, and then that's also very high. And poverty is high, unemployment is high, and then there's regional disparity, and contribution to, especially the SME sector, to GDP is about 20% in this country. To compare with other regional other countries, about 35%. And export contribution to export, the SME sector, MSME sector is about 4%. Like if you take India, it's about 45%. So see, that means especially the SME sector is a failed sector in this country, and also that is the sector that will breed bigger entrepreneurs to other sectors. The other sectors are also not doing well. You see, if you take the Colombo Stock Exchange, the blue chips are not doing well, and the country is not doing well. Economically, we are not good. Since 1947, we have not done well. So there's a big question when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? But I see there are entrepreneurs. There are people who can do this, who can make things happen, who can make a difference in our economy. Why it is not happening? I see number one is there's no policy support. We don't have a single policy enacted in the parliament to promote the entrepreneurial community in this country, especially SME sector. So that is a deterrent for the flourishing of entrepreneurship. So this is one. The other aspect is, in any country, if you go to Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, or any other country in this region, you see they have a very efficient and effective support system. What is our support system? We don't have a support system. We have a one which is only confined to some buildings, right? And it is not efficient. It is not effective. So that is another thing. And the third one is lack of entrepreneurial culture in the larger society. Not only the people who have started their business, but the customer must be entrepreneurial. The public sector must be entrepreneurial. The educational sector must be entrepreneurial. The students must be entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurs themselves must be entrepreneurial. So that is also a lacking thing. So the entrepreneurial culture is lacking. The
Yeah, I think that is one of the very important area we have to always focus with, because what Dr. Buddhadasa is talking about, the parliament, then again the people orientation, and more importantly, we discuss about certain aspects of the entrepreneurship. So these are the considerations. I think he's actively involved in with the more consultancy work on entrepreneurship, Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa. So these are the problems we have. Now we are always talking about now Sri Lanka, there are different strategic windows being opened, even after war, then after tsunami, all. But unfortunately, this whatever the
Before that World Cup.
exactly, yes, before the World Cup. So these we need to take into consideration. So I think in between the particular connection of Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa, Prasanna, Mr. Prasanna Linege, you also can add something on this youth in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Adding to that, continuing with what Jasmine was telling, I think for the last couple of years only, I was addressing more than I think 20,000 youth in this country in schools as well as in universities, been into many forums where the innovation programs and entrepreneurial idea judgment and all these things, like what I seen, there's a trend, right? I always talk about positivity because there's a trend in universities, even looking at the University of Morocco where I studied, those days, the students who are passing out looking for jobs. But now at least 20-30% students are looking at having their own establishment, or else start the career with the company and work for couple of years, or maybe 4 or 5 years, and then starting their own and doing their own business or their own venture. So that is that I see. But at the same time, what I see is even though they are getting these ideas while they are in the university or in the schools, the continuation or the sustainability is the biggest issue I have seen. Right? There are so many brilliant ideas. They are creating apps. They are creating some stuff, but not becoming a reality. And whenever I inquired later, couple of brilliant ideas I have inquired and so see what happened. Then what I found, again, that group, most of them have got jobs when they got out. So they went to jobs, and again, the same routine thinking pattern. Okay, I'm gonna get a vehicle and get married and have kids. And now that entrepreneurial part is forgotten. Right. So now he again thinking as a traditional person, okay, doing 8 to 5 job, coming at 5 o'clock at home. So we can't do, Jasmine knows, okay, it's not easy entrepreneurial life. Sometimes even 3 o'clock in the morning we get up and start working. Sometimes we don't sleep a few days, right? So same time, when we have the freedom, when we are not working, think of not working, we are not working as well. So that freedom is also there. There are times, some days, I think I don't want to go to the office, so I can take that off. That freedom is also there. But whether this thinking pattern has gone into our youth segment, whether they are thinking in that way or creating value in the industry is actually an issue. But we are trying very hard to tell them always okay, think like entrepreneur, right? You don't have to do your own business to become entrepreneur. Even within the organization, taking leadership, only thing the corporate entrepreneurship doesn't have is the financial risk. Apart from that, you can become, without a financial risk, you can become a good entrepreneur within an organization, right? You can have your own team. You can build that team. You can contribute to the economy. You can contribute that company, grow that company. So you are an entrepreneur within that organization. That's where even these larger multinational organizations now looking at these management trainees and all these people to groom them to become the entrepreneurs, right? Or the corporate entrepreneurship, right? So these people later on in life, they think, okay, now I'm capable of having all the skill set acquired through this organization. Now it's time for us to go out of this organization and start our own thing. Maybe some people are starting at the very early age, like in 20s, some are in 30s, 40s. It doesn't matter. Even like, for example, even you are not late to start a job even at 50s or 60s. Like even a good example is KFC, right? So he has, the founder has started the foundation, I think in 60s, right? 64 or something.
60s,
But
no? 60s.
yeah, in 60s, right?
Yeah.
In mid 60s. So he became a very successful entrepreneur, and he died, I think, in his 80s. But even though after that organization continues for generations, right? It's spreading, right? So that kind of entrepreneurial thinking we should have in our society. That's where I think the best way for the youth. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really important. I think that entrepreneurial culture, I think Prasanna, you actively participated for the whatever the webinars, what the particular things. So these things are really important for you to understand. So we need to set up some examples. I think Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa again like going to connect with us. So over to you, sir, Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa.
Professor, can you hear me?
No problem, no problem.
You can hear me right now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Professor. And I've been listening very briefly to all of you, and very interesting topic and a lot of ideas. Right. Now, if you look at the current situation in the country, you see economically we are not doing good, and there are problems, and our GDP is down, per capita is down, and our balance of payment, there are issues, and economic development, there's a big question mark in front of these few words. So what we believe as entrepreneurship development people is basically there's a positive correlation between economic development and entrepreneurship, which means there are more entrepreneurs, there'll be more economic development, more wealth creation, countries developing, people are happy, quality of life is enhanced, So the primary role of entrepreneur is to see that economic development is taking place in a given country. So in that context, I have my doubts about the quality of entrepreneurship in our country right now. If the entrepreneurs have played their role better, comparatively better, with some quality and with the vision, our country would have been somewhere else. I think there's a big question in front of our entrepreneurial community, because you see the kind of negative scenarios we are going through today. So that's my initial comment. Because if you take any other country, development is the responsibility of the entrepreneurial community of that particular country. Right? That is entrepreneurship. So we have failed in that sense. But somehow I see there are people who have entrepreneurial tendencies, entrepreneurial neck. They want to be entrepreneurs. But you see, it's like, having a seed which has potential, but there's no ground to breed. There's no ground. There are no fertile soils. That kind of situation. So even if there are entrepreneurial people in the country, why the country's economic development is not taking place? If you take very specifically the SME sector or entrepreneurship, largely the economic behavior of people of this country, there are three things that are deterrent for entrepreneurial development in Sri Lanka. Number one is, there's no policy support. There's no strategic policy support coming from upstairs or macro level, right? Any other given country, take Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, India, and even Indonesia, Philippines now, Thailand, this region, there are economic policies enacted in the parliament which will guide the entrepreneurial community. So that is missing in our country. The other dimension is the support system. They need research support, development support, advisory, training, technology, standards. This support normally, if you take a developed country, right, the support system provides all that for the entrepreneurial community. We have a system which is confined only to buildings, right? And our whole system, the support that is supposed to be supporting the entrepreneurship is very weak, inefficient, and ineffective. That is another one. Thirdly, I see there's no largely, if you look at the total populace in the country, there's no entrepreneurial culture. You see, not only the entrepreneurial people who will start the business must have entrepreneurship, but the surrounding, like governmental support, government sector, public sector is not supporting, right? Religious institutions are not supporting. Media is not supporting, right? General masses are not supporting. Parents are not supporting. So how to build entrepreneurship? That culture is not there. So these three factors are deterrents for entrepreneurship development in the country. So I see, therefore, there's a lot of things that we can do to develop achievement orientation, risk-taking ability, planning orientation, vision, all that, so that we can accelerate the happening, entrepreneurial happening in the environment. But I don't see such things are happening right now. Especially the SME sector is a neglected sector. Now you see, entrepreneurship is SME sector is the breeding ground for entrepreneurship, right? So if there's a very strong entrepreneurial knack and vision and planning orientation among small entrepreneurs, that means the country's economic development is sure that it will take place. If you take any other country, 95 to 98% of the institutions, the business institutions are SMEs. Our country also 99.5% are SMEs. Even 0.2% are the large-scale businesses. Now, what are the purposes of this SME sector? Number one is poverty alleviation. Now our poverty incidence is about 35%. We are a poor country. I say we are a poor country. So we have not achieved that target. And then the purpose. And then the second one is unemployment. There are a lot of unemployment. So we have not addressed that issue. And regional disparities. You take Colombo region, if you take the province, the contribution to GDP is about 45%. All other regions, 8 regions are contributing 95%. There's a regional disparity. You see, therefore, unemployment is an issue. Regional disparity is there. Poverty is there. And also, what is the contribution of the SME sector to total GDP creation? Just 20%, which is one of the lowest in the world, right? So we have a failed entrepreneurial sector. Unless otherwise you revive this and harness that with the economic development goals of the country, it's very difficult for us to talk about entrepreneurial development. So we got to address these macro level and micro level issues, then only we'll be able to talk about development. Why development? Because people need development. People need the quality of life. You see, the people are young people who are entrepreneurial. They're leaving the country. They're leaving the country. They're unhappy. They're frustrated. Young girls and boys and millennials are unhappy. That means they have not created such an environment in the country to, get their potentials harnessed with the economic development. So a lot of strategic thinking, strategic planning, vision development has to go into this sector that we are talking about. And unless otherwise, we will have a very pathetic situation in the future. So we have to learn from other countries and look at things from a comparative and also entrepreneurial perspective and put things in right order. So this is what I think, Professor, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I wish you all the very best and good luck for your forum. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, for enlighten us on one of the very important aspects of the entrepreneurship.
Mute.
Interruption, I think we have. So thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa, for your comment and enlighten us. Then we come to the final question. We have so now this is one of the very important and interesting questions. So we'll start with Mr. Prasanna Liyanage, your role as a mentor and inspirational entrepreneur. Yes, over to you, Mr. Prasanna Liyanage.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Like actually, it's actually at the moment also like there are many like youth as well as some grown organizations are mentoring, right, in different phases, like going through different phases. Like some are like startups, some are in the initial stage, some are in the mid of their life, and some are actually struggling. But I like this addressing a lot of issues faced by this the SMEs, like where they are struggling, right? So there are a lot of examples I can tell, but it's not no time to get one by one. But one thing, as just been told, like what happened to most of the medium-sized organizations in these countries, like they have grown into a certain level or the certain extent. After that, they don't know where to go, right? So they don't have a way forward, and also they are kind of stuck because one thing is like they don't like to delegate. They don't have a plan for that, and also the financial literacy is one thing, and also how these business models are working is not in their purview or in their system. So what I usually most of the time do is like first things like change their mindset and get them into a business model where it's sustainable and it's auto run kind of a business model. That is the only place. Then after that only they can grow into the big player or second level or the they can grow the business and become successful entrepreneurs. That is one. For the startups, actually, we need to starting from the incubation to then the commercialization, and how these ideas to shape it up to become a commercial product, and looking at the market aspect and where to place and how to place and what type of scenarios are in the market, and also something I see the lacking in the youth segment. Again, coming to the youth segment, right? Even though they are very passionate about their product or whatever their creations or all these things, they are not thinking, they are not going to the shoe of the consumer, right? They are not looking from the consumer side or the society side and social traction or social waves, or how the society is looking at that product. So that's where many products have failed. So what first thing I tell them, okay, no, it's not okay. You can come up with a brilliant idea and then give it to the society, but the same time, while giving that brilliant idea, you should sometimes tailor-made or change according to the market requirement. Sometimes that brilliant idea is required, is suitable in another 5 years time, but he had got the idea already, right? But market is not ready. Sometimes the market is ready, but not for the product he is giving. Maybe a mature product, maybe a less mature product. So likewise, you need to have that sense of feeling. Like you're talking a lot. I know the professor is talking a lot about this emotional intelligence, EQ, one of your pet subjects. So EQ is not there as well. So that is another issue I've seen many of these entrepreneurs, as well as corporate enterprises or the same thing, this EQ issue. So that is one thing I like to highlight when looking at this mentoring. So that's actually a good area. Yeah, and I really enjoy this mentoring and helping the SMEs and so on, like whoever. Like yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prasanna, for that. And also, more importantly, by the way, there is one question asked by Mr. Asanka Seniviratne.
Yes.
Dear respected panel members, I have simple question in my mind regarding possibility of earning income from foreign currency for entrepreneurs. Simply earning from US dollars, but banks and CBSL has put many barriers. Don't you think that this should be flexible? So Asanka Seniviratne, I think Prasanna, you know Mr. Asanka.
Yes.
So, Jasmine, we will give them to have a kind of a small conversation altogether.
Definitely. Yeah. Asanka, actually adding to that, we are also facing a lot of problems with this foreign currency because apart from this training, I'm involved in one distribution company into IT. So we are facing a lot of issues like sending money out and also same time getting services. So it's a huge issue. But what I feel is like looking at the central bank, they are putting a lot of barriers, not only central bank, government, rather than loosening up. My view at this moment, rather than creating more barriers, we should more liberalize the economy. We should more liberalize and open it up. Sometimes maybe people calling it black money, so black money or whatever should let inflow into the country at the moment, because we are in a crisis where we don't have time. We don't even like what happened to IMF. Like I think for example, like 1 year we are negotiating and still not sure, even though staff level agreement is there, not sure is whether we will get this money or not. But in that sense, what is the next best thing, right? So we all know, even though we say the best option at this moment is IMF, it is not the best option for my view, right? How many of sanctions they are putting, how many of certain things, how many of the social welfare things they are cutting off, right? I'm actually not for the social welfare thing. I'm usually against the social welfare spending, my view is cutting off, but we can't do it like at a cost. Like suddenly we can't do it because there are many dependents, right? There are many children, like they will go through the malnutrition issues and so many things. Therefore we have to think of that as well. But same time, Asanka, my thinking is like, yes, even though sometimes we are earning foreign money, getting into the country is also a big issue, right? Sometimes we are getting like the money in dollars into our account. In one account we have a dollar account, but even though dollar account says we got the money, to send that money out, they don't have actual physical money. Only the dollars have in the account, but we can send it out and get the services. So again, what will happen when the sanctions are coming? The economy is shrinking. The economy activities become very low, right? So we can't think only about exports. We should think of import as well. So it's an open economy, right? It's not a socialist country, no. It's an open economy. Therefore, I think, as you said, government and the policymaker should be very flexible at this moment of a crisis. Yeah. Anything to add, Jasmine or Professor?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that is one of the very good question raised by Mr. Asanka Seniviratne. And what to mention now, whatever the time we are talking about this policy decisions and all, there should be an alignment between the entrepreneurship, government policy decisions, and the maybe central bank. We are talking about this, the monetary and fiscal decisions should made by the authorities now, the government and the central bank. So these are the we need to have pressure groups. That is one of the very important thing. The pressure groups and even the universities, the industry and all. So that part also we have to take into consideration. Thanks for raising that question, Asanka. Then again, I come to Engineer Jasmine Nanayakkar for the final question. Your role as mentor and inspirational entrepreneur.
Yes, before that, also, I just comment to the Asanka's point, even as an entrepreneur, recently we requested the front of the government and the private bank together, whether we can have the foreign currency account, even it's not available and it's not, that facility is not even available. So that how, as an entrepreneurs, we take the next step to earn foreign revenue. So that's a question. So even together with the government and the private sector, the financial institutions should take these policies and supportive system for the entrepreneurs to make that entrepreneurial development in this country. So going through this mentoring and inspirational entrepreneurship, I believe that from the beginning of my journey as an entrepreneur, I wanted a crowd to support me as well. At the main time, to go with the journey, because entrepreneurship is a long journey, right? If the journey is long with the right people, so it can be a sustainable future for the career in entrepreneurship. So that we had a very good community in the engineering. I must recall that engineering, the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, the entrepreneurship forum. I was there as a leading role, and then we created this boot camp, and fellow engineers, including even Engineer Asanka, I think Professor Yu also supported the engineering community coming to that engineering entrepreneurship boot camp. It's a residential boot camp to facilitate all the engineers to sharpen their skills and learn new things to become entrepreneurs. And when Asanka Senivaratne is also came as a mentor and the
mentor.
The facilitator to the financial literacy for engineers. So indeed, that's the important thing in this country as a mentor, whoever the entrepreneur. We need to turn people, because human being, as we have a lot of skills, right? We have to sharpen our skills and learn the gaps, what we need to fill out, and to, as I said in the beginning, we learn, develop, and become, right? So we have to take massive actions. It's not just a small steps, because now it is very too late, right? In the country's crisis, we have to take massive actions. So what we are doing at this International Open University Research Session is very vital program, give the massive awareness. I don't know, most of the participants link with us in the live, and even this recording is available. Please do share it, because this awareness is very important. And then through this awareness, we should give them a space to understand the importance of entrepreneurship, importance of making the creative economy through these entrepreneurial activities, and also the importance of these countries' situation. We are in a critical situation, right? Nobody is having that feel, right? Once the petrol queues is over, they think everything's back to normal. No, still there's a high risk in our future. So if we want to turn that game to the next level, next site, right? We have to prepare ourselves, especially our next generation. So give more awareness for the youth and the children to get that mindset, because without that mindset, we can't do anything. Even the government policies and the support systems are there, and the entrepreneurial culture is not created. So to create this entrepreneurial culture, we have to give the more awareness, understanding to the community, the children, the generation in this country. And also, that's why we have this life coaching network, volunteering to give the mindset and lifestyle change in this country, the real life, our network. And also, I must say that giving that mindset is not that enough. Let them to practice it. Even though the people do this, the primary and higher, secondary and the higher education, the milestones, A-levels, O-levels, why don't give them just kind of a target to try practice entrepreneurship? And if kind of these things can be happen now, when the ICTA doing that boot camps and entrepreneurial startup boot camps and incubation and kind of acceleration and seed funding facilities to build up that entrepreneurial activities among youth. But we need to accelerate more, like give the more massive actions, the entire regional level and even the district level, and then into the school level. Likewise, we need to do these massive actions to turn this mindset of children with the practice, how they actually implement this entrepreneurial culture and seed those skills to the next generation. I think if we can go in through that trail and inspire our next generation, the risk that we are seeing in the future will become controllable. Otherwise, it will be uncontrollable, and I don't know what will be happen in the next 2 decades in this country. So that uncertainty is always there, but turning into that size, that side is the responsibility of every citizen, especially the professionals. I believe to become an engineer or a professional, like going through the government university, for example, for an engineer, the government or the facilities from the primary to the university level, it should be counted as like 8 million to prepare one engineer for this country. So that you have that responsibility to pay back, right? Pay back, not only working in the government sector and getting that salary from the government taxes again, rather you can develop some more entrepreneurial venture and giving some opportunities to the upcoming generations, giving the kind of job opportunities and to fill out that gap in unemployment, and then make they are capable for the future with new hope and step by step, if they can turn their skills to the entrepreneurial activities. Because working in the organization is really good, but if you can take it from there to the next level as an entrepreneur, as Engineer Prasanna mentioned, and as a strategic business unit, if you can take that unit to with more creative and innovative way to make more revenue out of it, and then develop that organization, and then with that insightfulness with the experience, you can start your own venture and give providing more facilities to the country as an entrepreneur. So likewise, I think very important to become a mentor. Each person, you have some different experience, different kind of learning points. So share it. Most important thing is networking. I believe that engineering community, we have very good engineering entrepreneurs network, and also the SMEs. There are different WhatsApp group, Facebook groups, and the LinkedIn groups. Likewise, connect with those things. And as an entrepreneur, spend your quality time with the social media for valuable content for your career, for next level of your career, right? So not only for entertainment, right? In the social media, you can actually turn into a career path and make more creative economy out of it, becoming an entrepreneur. So I believe your future will be good, and you can turn into a better way by your intention, your decision you are making today. If you are making that decision and the choice today to learn whatever you don't know, because I came to this position without knowing the most of the things. So what I wanted is, I have a thirst and I had the hunger to learn those things. And then I developed, I practiced, and I came with a lot of failures. I failed fast and learned from it and find more new strategies, how we can go with that. And then you become. That's the way. Learn and develop and you become. So I'm really thanks to Professor Nalin, and also wish you all the best for the graduates of the Open University, because this kind of a space is given by the Open University through the University Research Session as panel discussion to share our insights and experience as an entrepreneur. So we could still be at some of the organization under that. I work at the Open University like 3 years back. Now I have come to this level as an social entrepreneur. So I still say that there's a way, even if you have the intention, right mindset, right coaching, everyone can come to this level, because as a human being, we all have those gifts to think creatively and innovatively. So I wish all the best.
Yeah, thank you, because what you mentioned is really valid, and whatever the service you are going to offer is always you get the blessings of the universe. Not only you are going to get the blessings of the universe, you got a very good message from Mr. Nishant, one of our faculty member and head of the department HRM. Jasmine, your thoughts are very positive, stimulating and rewarding. Thanks. So this is something where like not financial matters, the non-financial motivators are really important. Thank you very much. And also now we are going to conclude the session. So this is the like one of the session where we really enjoyed. We had a very good fruitful discussion. Then again, I should thanks Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa and two of my friends, Mr. Prasanna Lienege and Jasmine Naneakkar. They are good entrepreneurs, they are good friends, and more importantly, they are good professionals and they are very good mentors. So mentoring is a kind of a blessed thing. Everybody in the world, you can't become mentors. So you have been blessed to have that particular, like mentoring for others. And more importantly, I should always thanks for them. And also, I should thanks Professor Shama Veerakon, Chair, IOURS, and the SETMI team, and the Chamira from IT division, always helping us for whatever the time comes. Then Dr. Prashna Seneviratna, our faculty coordinator for this IOURS, and whatever the problem comes, we have Mr. Asanka Seneviratna for helping us. So now we are going to conclude, but prior to the conclusion, there is one conclusion video with our IT division. So they will play that at the end of this session. Thank you very much. And again, stay safe, everybody.